She didn't just run, she ran like she was escaping something that could destroy her if it caught up. Her footsteps echoed across the quiet street, uneven and desperate, as if every step carried years of pain she could no longer hold inside. The sunlight was soft, the neighborhood calm, the kind of place where nothing ever seemed to go wrong, and yet, in that moment, everything felt like it was falling apart. I stood frozen for a second, my heart pounding in confusion, before instinct took over and I started running after her, calling out silently in my mind, trying to understand what I had just done. Before we go deeper into this story, if this moment already pulled you in, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories Beyond the Porch. And tell me honestly, have you ever said something from the heart and immediately regretted it? I hadn't planned to say those words. In fact, if you had asked me an hour earlier, I would have laughed at the idea. Life had been simple, predictable. She was just my neighbor, a quiet, distant woman who lived in the house across the street. The kind of person you notice without really knowing why. The kind of person who feels like a mystery you don't have the courage to solve. Her name was Ariba, and from the outside, she seemed like she had everything together. She dressed neatly, spoke politely, and kept to herself. But there was something about her eyes, something heavy, something tired, that didn't match the rest of her. It was as if she carried a story she never allowed anyone to read. We weren't close, not at first. Our interactions were brief, almost accidental. A passing greeting, a shared glance, a moment of awkward silence that neither of us tried to fill. But over time, those small moments began to stack up, forming a quiet connection neither of us acknowledged. Until that day, it started like any other afternoon. The street was calm, the air warm, and the world felt almost too peaceful. I was walking back home when I saw her standing near the sidewalk, her posture tense, her gaze fixed on nothing. She looked different that day, like she had finally reached the end of something she had been silently enduring. I slowed down, unsure if I should approach her, but before I could decide, she spoke, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough for the truth to escape. "No one wants to marry me." The words hung in the air, heavy and unshakable. They didn't sound like a complaint. They sounded like a conclusion. Something about the way she said it hit me harder than I expected. It wasn't just sadness, it was surrender, the kind of surrender that comes after trying, failing, and finally giving up. And before I could stop myself, before logic had a chance to intervene, I said the one thing that changed everything. "I do." For a moment, time froze. Her eyes widened, her breathing stopped, and the world seemed to shrink into that single second. It was as if my words had reached a place inside her that no one had touched before, and instead of healing it, they had shaken it violently. Then she stepped back. Her face changed not into anger, not into confusion, but into something far more painful. Fear, and then she turned and ran. That was the moment captured forever in my memory. Her running ahead, her hair moving wildly with the wind, her hands trembling as she tried to steady herself. And me chasing after her, my heart racing not just from the run, but from the weight of what I had just done. The distance between us wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Every step I took toward her felt like I was trying to catch something that didn't want to be caught. But I couldn't stop, because deep down I knew this wasn't just about what I said. This was about everything she had been through before I ever met her. She didn't stop until she reached the corner of the street. Her pace slowed, her shoulders shaking as she tried to catch her breath. I slowed down too, careful not to get too close, as if any sudden move might make her run again. For a few seconds, we just stood there. Two people, separated by more than just a few feet. I wanted to explain, to tell her I didn't mean it as a joke, that I wasn't trying to hurt her, that something in me had spoken before I could think, but the words wouldn't come, because even I didn't fully understand why I had said it. The silence between us stretched, and then, slowly, she turned. Her eyes were filled with tears, not the kind that fall easily, but the kind that stay, heavy and stubborn, refusing to leave. She looked at me like I had just given her something she didn't know how to hold. And that's when I realized something important. She wasn't running away from me. She was running away from hope. Over the next few days, everything changed. She avoided me at first, completely, curtains closed, doors shut, no signs of life. It felt like that one moment had erased whatever fragile connection we had built. And I blamed myself. I replayed it again and again, wondering what I should have said instead. Maybe I should have comforted her. Maybe I should have stayed silent. Maybe I should have acted like everyone else, kind, but distant. But I didn't. I chose honesty, and honesty had scared her. A week later, I saw her again. This time, she wasn't running. She was sitting on her porch, staring at the empty street like she was waiting for something or someone. I hesitated before approaching her, but something in her expression told me to try, so I walked over. Slowly, carefully, and when I stood a few steps away from her, I realized something had shifted. She didn't look afraid anymore. She looked too tired of being afraid. That evening became the beginning of everything, not with grand confessions or dramatic moments, but with quiet understanding. She started opening up, little by little, about her past, about the people who left, about the times she gave her heart and got nothing in return, about how every rejection slowly convinced her that she wasn't enough, that she was someone people liked but never chose. And as she spoke, I began to understand why my words had affected her so deeply. Because for someone who has been rejected their entire life, being chosen feels unbelievable, almost dangerous. I didn't try to rush anything after that. I didn't repeat those words. I didn't pressure her into believing me. Instead, I stayed. I showed up, day after day, not as someone trying to prove a point, but as someone who genuinely cared. And slowly, something inside her began to change. The way she smiled became more real. The way she spoke became more open. The way she looked at herself started to soften. Months passed. And one evening, as the sun set behind the houses, painting the sky in shades of gold and orange, we found ourselves standing in the same place where everything had started. This time there was no tension, no fear, just a quiet understanding. She looked at me, her eyes no longer heavy with doubt, but filled with something new, something warm, something hopeful, and without saying a word, I realized something had changed, not just in her, but in both of us. Love didn't come in a single moment. It came in small, consistent steps, in patience, in understanding, in choosing someone again and again, even when it's difficult. And that day, when she had run away crying, it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't just scroll away. Take a moment to like, share, and comment, because your support helps stories like this reach people who truly need them. And before you go, tell me this in the comments: have you ever been afraid of something good, just because it felt too real to lose?